Good evening, Patrick. Here are my notes on the meeting that Sandrine and I had with Dr. Christelle at the Hope Foundation's health centre at Kumbi in Bambuti. Dr. Christelle had previously been sent the letter that I wrote to her outlining our proposals, but she hadn't yet had time to read it. Open brackets, for the record, she prefers to get all communication via WhatsApp, which the contents of which she reads every day. So point for the future, close brackets, stop. I summarised what we had in mind to begin with, and suggested that Hope Foundation should take more responsibility in carrying out a major survey and refurb of the buildings in the Bambuti Health Centre, open brackets BHC, close brackets. Dr. Christelle rather took umbrage at this and mentioned something I had not heard before, that their responsibility for maintaining the buildings effectively ends 10 years after construction, i.e. in 2026. I pointed out all the implications of not carrying out maintenance. One is that the health facility would go into, in its present condition, would go into a rapid structural and medical decline, and the difficulties they have in attracting customers or paying patients would get worse. She mentioned that there are two main ethnic groups that use the clinic: the Fulani and the Bayas. I think that's B-A-Y-A-S. The Fulani, who are in the minority, are good payers, as it were. The buyers less so. They rather think that the people who worked on the construction of the clinic meant that the costs of using the clinic subsequently should no longer be borne by them. The result is that, as a business, the clinic is not viable financially. Notwithstanding that, the clinic continues to provide emergency care and essential care at prices that the individual patients can afford. Dr. Christelle said that all this had been discussed with you a year or two ago, and you agreed that an appreciable portion of the maintenance costs would be borne by Cameroon Catalyst, or brackets, or as I suspect, come out of your pocket, close brackets, stop. I tried to point out that when all was said and done, they needed to optimise the maintenance work carried out on the buildings so as to make the centre sellable. It is a relatively straightforward task to look at costs of repair to various extents, to the increase in value for selling purposes. The Hope Foundation would make in a sale. At this point, Dr. Christelle, in a very Cameroonian way, rather lost her temper and said to me, more or less, shut up. She wasn't going to talk to the organ grinder's monkey if the organ grinder couldn't be bothered to turn up and discuss these matters with her. ... My French being what it is, at this point I effectively shut up. She had a long chat with Sandrine in very voluble, loud, and occasionally argumentative French, which I couldn't follow. I said it. Overall, matters were largely unresolved, but I think she warmed to the idea of CamCat students coming out and doing a complete survey, and in order to prepare a specification and a bill of quantities for a complete set of works from which the Hope Foundation could do a pick and mix on the items listed. Without going into any detail on this, I thought it was probably the best we could get at that particular point. I have to say, it came as a complete surprise to me that the Hope Foundation will be giving up the responsibility for maintenance and presume the functional running of the clinic. Dr. Christelle had no idea who might take it over, but acknowledged that if nothing were done to improve the condition and the facilities, 1 or 2 years was probably the most they could hope for the clinic to stay in being. At the conclusion of the meeting, Dr. Christelle apologised for her excited response and said it was a very Cameroonian thing, and that if I wanted to participate in such discussions in the future, I would do well to improve my French. I couldn't do anything else but agree. Okay, so there it is. Probably as good as we could have expected, but I really do think you and the trustees need to address the matter of what happens to this health centre when the Hope Foundation sells it off, which is definitely their intention at the moment. If you'd like me to discuss the implications of this with trustees, I am at your disposal. Kind regards, Lee.